Time for a look at what's making headlines here in France, and we can say good morning to Deeptika Laurent. Hi.
Delano.
Now, you're starting out with, well, a story that's obviously important to the French people. That's the reform of the SNCF, the national rail network that the government has announced.
That's right, and it is making a lot of the front pages in France this Tuesday. French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe presented the government's plans yesterday, a vision for shaking up the sector, the national railway network, SNCF, which is highly indebted. The government has stopped short of wanting to privatize the national railway network, but it has considered opening it up to outsiders. The most controversial decision, though, is to get rid of this special status for SNCF workers. They're known as les cheminots. They're entitled to early retirement, I think in some cases it's as early as 52, and other privileges due to health concerns dating back to when trains were coal-powered. Now, the thing is, today most trains are powered by electricity, so the government argues that future employees need not benefit from these advantages.
Now, these plans are pitting the government against unions, essentially.
Not surprisingly, and Le Parisien and Le Figaro, the right-leaning paper today, are actually leading with a play-on-words headline. They call them the high-speed reforms. Here on Le Parisien, so you see a picture of Macron in a train, so a bit tongue-in-cheek. The communist paper L'Humanité is siding with the unionists on this one, calling the SNCF the latest victim of Macron's decrees. Indeed, the unions are now planning a month-long strike starting from next week.
Okay, now next to another story that's very important to us here in France, and that's, well, affected all of us. It was really tough to come to work this morning. It's what, -6? The weather?
Yes.
Awful.
That's what you're feeling, actually. The weather is the temperatures are probably higher, but because of chilly winds, the temperature that we're feeling here in France and across Europe, it must be said, are much, much lower. We did, of course, speak about this as well yesterday, Delano. In fact, things are not going to be getting better for you today, I'm afraid. This Tuesday, February 27th, is apparently the coldest day of the year. I'm not sure how they can predict this, given that we're only into the second month of the year. But anyway, the wind will make temperatures feel like -10 in the north of France, -14 in central France. And to give you an idea, Le Parisien has actually helpfully put together a map of France, renaming the major cities with the equivalent weather in other cities around the world. So you see here, Paris is the equivalent of Toronto. Toulouse is as cold as Minsk is right now, and Marseille is feeling the same temperatures as Kiev.
It feels worse than -12. I don't know. It's just awful. It's like you feel you're in a worse than a refrigerator. You're in the deep freezer, actually. Okay, now you found an article in Le Figaro that's looking at how elite French universities are trying to lure students from the African continent.
It's really interesting, this article from Le Figaro, because, of course, the African continent, with its booming population, growing middle class, in many countries at least, it's becoming the sort of new holy grail for prestigious engineering and business colleges, as well as political science universities here in France. Le Figaro explains that the number of university-going students on the African continent is expected to hit 22 million by 2030. That's nearly 3 times as much as today. Morocco is the #1 destination, but you have HEC, which is the prestigious business college in France, that's opened up an office in Abidjan, the Ivory Coast capital, for instance, while France's Political Science College is opening up its recruitment office in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. The idea being to recruit students from the African continent, but in some cases, they're actually planning to or have already opened up campuses in certain African countries.
Okay, switching gears to some football news next, and Paris Saint-Germain star Neymar is out with a pretty serious injury. What's happened?
Not just a star player, might be said. He was the most expensive, you'll remember. 220 million euros.
Arm and a leg, right?
Literally a leg now in this case. Paris Saint-Germain star player Neymar injured himself in Sunday's game against Marseille. This was L'Equipe's, the sports paper's front page before the news came in. Here they say there's still hope that he'll be okay. Well, unfortunately, he's fractured fractured his fifth metatarsal in his right ankle. No one knows for how long he's going to be out, and there are doubts about whether he'll be able to make the home game against Real Madrid next week. So that's really hanging in the balance right now. To give you an idea of how obsessed everyone is, football fans have no doubt been Googling fifth metatarsal, as you see from this journalist tweet, explaining exactly where that fracture is, so people getting a very in-depth understanding of the human foot.
It's always nice to Google things that you don't understand, especially when it's related to health stuff. Let's sing with L'Equipe next for our last story. And the International Tennis Federation, is planning a major overhaul of the Davis Cup.
The Davis Cup is 118 years old, so it is a very ancient tradition of the tennis circuit. It generally pits national teams of men's tennis players against each other. There is, of course, a female version as well. Well, in any case, the men's version is getting a serious facelift, mainly a response to calls from players about the grueling professional calendar year. Right now, they play each other in different countries over 4 3-day weekends between February and November. It makes the tournament quite long and drawn out. Now they're planning to make it an annual 10-day event in one country where you'll have the pool stages and then the elimination rounds. It's not just, though, about player fatigue. That's what L'Equipe is explaining. Barcelona footballer Gerard Piqué is actually behind the operation. He's injecting a lot of cash into the Davis Cup. In fact, he's investing millions of his own money into the Davis Cup in the coming years. He's even planning to sweeten the deal by offering more than $20 million in prize money.
Okay, interesting stuff. Thank you very much. Speaker Laurent there, and we'll be checking back with you later on for a look at the international papers. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us. There's more to come. This is Live from Paris.